We're reducing drag and engaging the energy recovery system. That's right, it's Lights Out Racing from Michels Games. In this high-stakes race car rush, 2 to 6 players take on the role of drivers, each vying to stand atop the winner's podium and spray their friends with champagne. Over a series of laps, players race pace and outmaneuver each other until the first one crosses the finish line to win the game. Setup begins with the game board track selection. Choose a map from the 4 boards available and set it in the center of the table. Set the 4 black dice and single gray counter near the board. Each player takes a race car, driver's card, 3 colored dice, and 5 counters of the same color. They place 1 counter on the lap 1 space of their driver's card. Before gameplay begins, players should agree on a number of laps for the race. It doesn't have to be the number printed on their map. Each driver rolls 1 of their colored dice and places their car in the grid position of the track based on who rolled highest. The greater the value, the further towards the front. Ties are resolved with a roll-off between the tied players. Each track tile has 2 grid spaces. Additionally, each player rolls another die and places a counter on their driver's card for one of the 2 segments on the curves of the track. Fast, which is light gray, and slow, which is dark gray. Odd results place the driver on the slow track for this lap of the race, while even results place them on the fast track. This will get rolled again after each completed lap. Gameplay occurs in simultaneous turns. On a turn, players roll 2 of their colored dice and then move their car a number of spaces on the track up to their roll total, starting with the player furthest from the lead. One exception though. On the first turn of the game, the order is reversed. The player in the lead starts, followed by the second player, and so forth. Note that 2 cars cannot end a turn on the same single track tile. If multiple drivers share a space after all players have ended their turn, those players roll off and the loser stays put while the winner moves forward a number of spaces equal to the die roll. This is known as overtaking another car. When moving on their turn, a driver can opt to spend less than their 2 dice rolls value to move forward. For each point they withhold, they may charge their energy recovery system. The ERS charge is tracked with a colored counter. When it reaches the 10th space, the ERS is ready to deploy and has 3 charges instantly stored. On their turn, before their roll, a player may deploy the ERS to roll 3 of their dice instead of 2 on a turn. A player cannot store energy while the ERS is ready to deploy. Some other main mechanics of the game. The drag reduction system. This allows a driver to slide along a DRS arrow labeled in green on various tracks. This can only happen after a driver has completed their move. If they are in a DRS detection zone, the darker green, wider arrow area, and they're behind another car that is also stopped in the DRS detection zone, they may slide their car to the end of the DRS arrow. Then they perform any braking zone activities. Braking zones. These dark blue tracks require the driver to roll the 4 black dice, each representing a wheel of the car. When a driver enters the zone, they pause their movement and track the remaining value on the side counter. They then roll the dice and get 2 attempts to get as many matches of a single value as possible, setting aside any dice rolled after the first and re-rolling the others. The number of matches equals the exit tile they end on. If it's the first tile after a break zone, they also receive a warning and end their turn. They are allowed to store the remainder of their roll as energy if their ERS isn't already full. If the driver rolls all matching dice, they get an instant full ERS deployment. Then continue the rest of their turn. Warnings. These are tracked with a counter on the driver's card, and when a player reaches 3, they lose their next turn and then remove the counter from their card. Pit stops. Each player must make 1 pit stop during the race before their final lap. The driver uses the pit lane, and while there, may only use 1 die to roll on their turn. When a driver reaches the stop space, they end their turn. but they can still store excess energy in the ERS. And they place a counter on the driver's car to signify they've made their pit stop. Rolling doubles or triples. When rolling for movement on their turn, if the player rolls doubles or triples in the case of ERS deployment, they gain the option to move up to the lead driver, or the move value of their roll. When this occurs, they make this choice before anyone else goes in the standard turn order. And that's the basics of Lights Out Racing. I'm Becca Scott, this is Good Time Society, and you better race on over to that like button and smash that subscribe. Then tell a friend about us and come on back for more great games and good times.